Radio style. Hope everybody out there is having an absolutely amazing day. I know I have. It's certainly been kind of crazy and fun lately, but been a blast. I gotta say, a lot of really exciting things. So I kind of wanted to just do a quick show on. I guess it's kind of a follow your feelings / 6 degrees of separation. I'm still trying to bring that concept into play, and certainly it has been a big deal for me lately. Just to cover what we just played, that was Squeeze. I loved the song. It was funny as I was actually going to go to a totally different tune, and I saw that, and I'm like, and it started off really cool, and I'm like, I do like that song. So it's called Trust Me to Open My Mouth. I thought that was sort of apropos for an individual such as myself that doesn't seem to know when to shut his trap. Yes, hello, very much love to talk. That's my job. So anywho, Dan Radio style, thank you for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel. That always means the world to me whenever I see that number tick up at all. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, it is spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com. Alrighty. Okay, so this whole thing about 6 degrees of separation and following your feelings kind of came about recently because of some major changes that have been playing in my life. Huge, major changes. Major, yeah. I don't even know how else to say it. So I was kind of pursuing for the longest time, and this kind of ties into all that law of attraction crap and all that, right? So I'm going down this path, and I was very focused on a particular somebody and all this stuff, right? And then this person, I'm pointing at him, I'm like, yeah, you, baby. And, you know, that I just kept focusing towards that and onward and everything I did. And, you know, it felt right. Like that was the deal. It felt completely right. I was following my feelings. Everything inside of me is like, yes, that's the direction you need to go. Now, when I look back on it, because certainly that's not what's happening, like that disintegrated. I kind of talked about that in my last show, and I'll sort of touch upon that again, but before we get to that, right? It totally led me to a number of different acceptance points. It prepared me for relationships in ways that I didn't know I wasn't ready. It had me considering things such as marriage. I've never been married. Don't really desire marriage per se, but I think it'd be really cool to meet that person that I did get married to. Like if I spent the rest of my life with, and like they always say, you will know when you meet them. You know, like wow, that'd be cool to like experience that, right? But that's not my end all be all in life. I haven't grown up my whole life going, I have to get married. If I'm not married by the time I'm 22, I've screwed up. You know, so it opened my mind to that. She had a kid who I've talked about, liked Legos. Oh, God. Had lots of Legos, I guess. Yeah, that was a loss. I'm still a little sad, a little tender in the heart that I'm not going to get to experience Legos with this young child. But needless to say, he was a great kid, and it really got me thinking about being a father, being a stepfather, what that means, what that entails. Some of the people I kind of teach, almost maybe being a little more fatherly to them. I don't know. It just really opened up a lot of concepts in that regard. Caused me to really think about like my career and actually like, okay, you need to really start thinking about yourself more kind of not as a provider, but as a provider. Like I should be at least doing better than I was, right? So kind of got me focused in that direction. So it really got my mind and eyes and energy focused in a direction that is very conducive for a relationship. So all these things were happening, and it's like, follow my feelings, follow my feelings. Well, I got to a point where my feelings were basically saying, okay, you're done on this path. Like I was getting some signs, getting some indications. I was getting some very cool signs that other things were going to be coming into play. So as I said in my last show, I basically threw up my hands. I said, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Show me the way. Show me what I got to do. Help me see this. And really honestly, within about 2-3 days, literally stopped hearing from this individual that I was close to, done. And I'd already been through this rigmarole a few times, so I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, there's no need to keep doing this. Einstein's definition of insanity, repeating the same process over and over with the hopes of a different outcome. I've beat my head against this wall plenty. It's not going to change. Boom, done. All right, so then all of a sudden, all these other things start happening. This one situation leads to another situation, and things that had happened in the past kind of help push that situation forward. And then now all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this feels really amazing. This is fantastic. And it, you know, everything started off wonderfully and then kind of like softened up, like some issues popped up in this person's life. And actually some things have popped up in my life. It's been kind of strange. I just got some bad news yesterday. Well, bad, whatever. It is what it is. So, you know, all these things kind of happen for a reason, as I've stated. Now, the feelings are still what they are, and they're still leading me to my next step, if you will. But I'm at a place right now where I've kind of mellowed it down a bit. So now I'm kind of, all right, so I'm, again, taking my focus off a specific somebody and actually putting it back into the concept, which I honestly think is what brought that somebody to me. But whether or not that was maybe to help get me away from my prior situation, or really if it's just kind of like the pause before the storm, because frankly, a lot of the thoughts I was having when I was trying to define things, especially being someone that's been single for, a long time, I got to the point where I realized I'm probably going to need something that's a little bit slow to start. Like, I can't just have someone just like want to just move in or something crazy where, every waking hour I've got to be with this individual. I'm so used to doing stuff and filling my time and going to the gym and working on these YouTube things and, doing some voiceover stuff that I do. And so like all this extra stuff I do on top of my regular work, it's like, wow, I still want to be able to kind of have that balance. I still want to work on these things. I still want to affect others, be it maybe 10 people or whatever the hell it is. But I still want to keep doing this. I think it's good for me in the big picture. I think it's helping get me better at, speaking on the mic, the whole 9 yards, right? It's one of those follow my feelings. Again, I'm sharing all this because all of this is meant to kind of show the whole follow my feelings concept. And what's really, really important about following your feelings, and this is kind of an aside maybe, I don't know, is like, say like you're driving, right? And your feelings tell you one day to make a left, right? I tell you one day to make a left turn at this one street, and then you end up making a right, and boom, you end up at your place, right? And that's like, all right, cool. And then maybe the next day you feel like you should go straight instead of making a left there, and you end up making a left up a little bit further and head over, and boom, you get where you're going. Don't look at the first left turn as wrong on the second day, if that makes sense, right? So the first day you felt like you needed to make a left. The second day you felt like you needed to go straight. It didn't mean the first day you were wrong. It meant that the first day it felt right and was right to make a left. What was in front of you, who knows? Could have been an accident, could have been a traffic signal that was all jacked up, could have been, who knows, right? Any number of things. Going left was actually the better choice at that time. And the very next day, going left, again, might not have been a right choice because there might have been something going on over there. You might have been stuck in traffic. You might have bumped into somebody because you went straight. The point is following your feelings. It's not necessarily like I was wrong yesterday or I was wrong to care about the woman with the child and all that. I got so much awesome stuff out of that. It really developed my heart. It developed good habits. I quit smoking because I envisioned seeing this kid graduate high school and didn't want to be there on oxygen, right? So like that, I mean, so many wonderful things came out of me feeling like that was the right path. And I never really like betrayed anything in the process. I didn't, I'm still, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to say all that, but whatever. Sometimes it's just better left unsaid, right? But I still kept going down that path. And then again, it felt like time had changed. It's gotten to a point where I need to go in a different direction. It didn't mean the direction in the past was wrong. It means I feel like I'm going in a different direction. Okay, so let's follow that. I have no idea what's going on. And then boom, 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 boom. All these little things start happening. So I'm like, wow, that feels really amazing. I'm really stoked to be in this situation. And then some other interesting things happened that kind of complicated that, which was cool. Like it is what it is. I've never, ever, and I say this like to everyone, there's always something to why we're going through things. Now, granted, I will say if you have a really, really hardcore, fundamental, you don't really believe things happen for a reason, you don't really see that there's a larger purpose, you don't really, a bad one that a lot of people, if you're really religious, you have a hard time with the fact that we maybe do this more than once, right? It's kind of an accepted sort of spiritual thing for a lot of walks that this is something we've done many times. Many of us are here right now because we're helping. This is one of the biggest changing times since Atlantis, and there's been other civilizations prior, which no one's like, well, prove it. I don't care. I don't need to prove it. Don't believe it. I don't give a crap. It makes no difference in my life what anyone out there believes. I'm here for those who are like, hey, this guy kind of resonates with some of the weird stuff I thought. Interesting. I'm going to listen to him for that reason. That's it. That's all I'm here for. I'm not here. I'm here because the people listening to me and actually that care what I'm talking about are resonating with what I'm saying. We're on the same like level, same page, same wavelength, same frequency. And they just found something that was tuned into their vibe and they found it. Here you are. Hello. Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Dan, radio style. Nice to talk at you. So keep following your feelings. My point is I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I know it's in the direction that I'm heading. I'm keeping my focus on where I'd like to go, right? And we talked about this in the Law of Attraction series. I'm keeping my focus on the experiences I'd like to have. I'm keeping my mind open to the larger possibilities. And yes, I just like everybody else, I have my moments where it's maybe not as easy to keep clear on that, or to I have to stop myself and go, okay, dude, you're being negative. All right, get your focus back on where you're heading. It is just something that takes practice. You just keep working at it. But following your feelings and trusting your feelings and intuition, that just takes doing it a few times and watching it work out, or seeing how it plays out. A great metaphor, and I'll probably kind of try to leave it with this. This was taught to me eons ago, and I think it's the best explanation or metaphor for what truly letting go is. So imagine you're like a teeny tiny piece of like I don't want to say sand, but something small, like a small little piece of sand that can float in a river, right? And you're in a river and you're kind of down and you're tumbling, like you get thrown in, right? And at first you kind of tumble and you bounce down and you're hitting the rocks and you're hitting the side and you're kind of rolling along and you're just kind of fighting you're resisting, if you will, the flow of the water. And all of a sudden you hit a bump and you kind of just pop up and you sort of let go. And then the current takes you. And now you're flowing with the current. You're not going down, you're not going up, you're just going with the flow. This is like what letting go is. It's when you stop resisting, you stop fighting it, you stop second guessing every step of the way, and realize that either God or universe or source or whatever is kind of helping guide us. There's some sort of odd intelligence. Can't prove it, but if you really spend enough time and experience it and just notice some of the amazing, miraculous things that happen in the world around us, the coincidences that so many of us pass off as. A coincidence. When it happens enough times, really, there's not a point where you're like, that's really weird. Right? Because if you keep just passing it off as coincidence, you're living life like with your head in the sand. And that's cool. If that's what you want to do, I'm way cool with that. But to run around and criticize other people for having the courage to actually let go, or to be judgmental about anybody that doesn't get it, or, it's silly. My way is not the right way necessarily for anybody, right? We all walk to the beat of a different drummer. Again, I'm sharing these things because I've seen it work for me, and I've certainly seen it work for others. But it doesn't work for everybody. This is ridiculous for some people. This is so above and beyond what they're ready to acknowledge. But for those of us that jumped on, we just jump in, feet first, boom, all right? And you just kind of tuck and roll with those first couple bumps until finally source gets you up in the current. Or God finally gets you flowing downstream. And you no longer bump into things. Now you're kind of just cruising along. You're floating with the current. And you end up where you end up. And it is almost always amazing when you get there. That's the cool thing. Again, I'm holding a direction. I have an idea where I'd like to go. The universe knows what I'm trying to accomplish and is helping me. So different obstacles, different signposts, if you will, different unique situations, different really awesome scenarios pop into my world. I react on them, I enjoy them, and I move. I take the next couple steps and see where I'm at now. And then another crazy, awesome thing happens, and I take a couple more steps. This truly is what I call living and enjoying the magical moments. This truly is what makes living fun. I am not joking. Day to day to day is way more fun to me now than it ever was before, because there's always little things that happen. There's little coinkydinks all along the way. Celestine Prophecies, James Redfield, great book that really years ago, really got me thinking about these markers, these signs, these different things that will sort of indicate what way we need to go. So pay attention to what's going on out there. Love each other, do the best we can with each other, because everybody's in your life for as long as they are. I mean, we're all friends outside of here, but we're all kind of helping each other along. So enjoy the ride. Don't ever look back on something as a bad thing. You got stuff out of it. It helped you on numerous ways. So rejoice. Rejoice, and don't hold negative feelings towards the individual, right? Even if they were abusive, you learned something. There's no way you didn't. There's no way you're not a changed person. Even if something, horrible happens. I mean, even if they're a criminal, things happen to kind of show us the way sometimes. And sometimes we got to experience really, really bad stuff so we can be ready for really, really good stuff. It's just the way it balances out. It's the way we understand things. We live in a hot and cold, left and right, up and down, black and white world. And sometimes you got to know that alternate side before you can really know the good side. So that's kind of what the whole thing's about. 6 degrees, we'll talk more about it too, because I think it's just a huge concept. But the 6 degrees is that flow. It's that ebb and flow. That's that next step, that little interesting thing that happened that really tied back to something that just happened a little bit ago. Now, technically, there's no such thing as time, but we don't need to get into that. It's all kind of happening right now. And then on top of that, following your feelings. These are the two really key factors in truly heading down this spiritual path. And I even think this, for the most part, holds true even in a very ultra-religious perspective. And I'm sorry if that's offensive to anyone that's actually religious. I don't mean it that way, but I mean it more as a distinguishing thing for those who maybe aren't as religious versus those who are, because there's just vast differences. But for those who aren't religious, for sure, there's a lot of areas where, like when I talk to them especially, there's areas where there's an overlap, or it's really just words. It's like, what am I calling God? What am I calling Yahweh? What am I calling Jehovah? What am I calling Source? What am I calling Jesus? What am I calling Buddha? It's still that solo kind of monotheistic concept, regardless of what we call it. I love the quote from Shakespeare, but a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. It doesn't matter that I called it a rose. It just matters what it is. It smells sweet. I could call it a puppy. It still smells like a rose. So that's what I'm trying to leave you with. I hope this helps. I don't know. It's been a big deal to me, and I've really, really enjoyed this journey the last few weeks, for that matter. It's been really cool. Last month, solid. So, Dan Radio Style, that's what it's about. Please subscribe. Tell your friends, too. Heck, shoot. Share my stuff. I don't care. I'd love that. But yeah, I appreciate anyone that's paying attention. If you've got any thoughts, questions, queries, any of that good stuff, go ahead and email me at spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com. And I appreciate it. We'll do more shows, probably something a little more specific with the 6 degrees, but we're getting there anyway, right? So enjoy, and we'll talk soon.